gun. How does that work, man? Do you get like extra pay for doing press day?
No, gosh, no. I wish, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Brad Walst, 3 Days Grace, man. So great to see you. And I'm happy the machine's getting back up and running. Really dug the cover of somebody that I used to know. It's weird. Oftentimes when a band does a cover song, it's a cover song from a song that is incredibly old. It's rare that you see a contemporary like Gautier, even though Gautier after that album pretty much vanished off the face of the planet. But
Yeah.
what in the world, somebody that I used to know, what triggered something emotionally for you guys in the band to say, you know what, let's give this one a shot. This one could be cool if it was done up in a different vibe.
Yeah. Well, I remember, when that song came out, we were on tour and we played it over and over in the bus. And it was during the pandemic or whatever. And Matt just did a little voice memo of him playing guitar. And he sent it to me and I was like, wow, man, like your voice suits this song. And that's kind of how we were like, well, let's try to do this,
Yeah.
And, we did it all remotely and put it together. And yeah, it just turned out really well. And yeah, it's not too often we do covers, so I'm glad that one worked out. Yeah.
Were you surprised by the success of that particular song, or did it go further than you had expected it to?
Oh, absolutely.
Underwhelmed?
Yeah, like we didn't think, we just put it out because it seemed like just for fun, and that was kind of the thing. Every band was putting out covers, and like, oh, we'll just throw it out there and see what happens. But yeah, when it started to chart and stuff, we're like, holy, okay, this is cool. Like, right on.
Nice. Well, you definitely have, you've been given the benefit of the doubt with, it just seems like 3 Days Grace, pretty much everything you guys touch turns to gold. Now, you've been teasing with a lot of Easter eggs all over social media lately, hinting at a new single that came out today. Tell me about the angst-ridden so-called life, man. Very, very cool sound for 3 Days Grace.
Yeah, it's a little different. It's a pretty heavy song, and definitely full of emotions and frustrations of everyday life. But we wrote that song. It was actually the first song we wrote on this record, going back almost pre-pandemic. So yeah, man, it was just we started jamming it actually beside Neil's pool, and it turned out really angry. And I think it's a great tune. I think the fans are gonna relate to it, and it's gonna be a fun one live. I know that.
Speaking of the pandemic, how much of this new album was inspired by the pandemic and what we all went through collectively as a society?
Well, I think we didn't really direct the songs towards there, but we're a pretty honest band, and we like to write about our true emotions and what we're going through. And so naturally, being stuck at home and stuck on Zoom with each other, some pretty emotional songs came out of it. We wrote the first half of the record remotely. We recorded it remotely, which we've never done. And then we just got back together a couple months ago and did the rest. But it was interesting, man, and definitely a different vibe. And yeah, again, I think some great songs came out of it.
And during that time, it was so challenging for everybody, especially up here in the Northern Hemisphere. I don't really want to get into politics because there's no winners in that, but you guys had a unique observation spot, watching the Trump administration and what happened on January 6th and watching the Black Lives Matter riots and all that stuff. And then with the new Biden administration, did you ever get any inspiration for songwriting from what you see happening in society from a political or religious or, an ethic standpoint?
Well, I think, we definitely do. And we usually don't write about political stuff. I think that's just kind of the band we've always been. But don't get me wrong, we take those feelings and emotions and turn them into music. So it was a frustrating time, I think, for everyone. And for us being up here in Canada, we were locked pretty tight for a long time. And it was awful, man. It was brutal. So, for us, thank God, we pick up a guitar and we can get that out, so that was cool. But I think, there's some great songs on this record. There's a lot of happy moments. There's a lot of sad moments, angry moments. It's definitely covers a lot of ground. So,
and let's talk a little bit about that. In the past, you've noted Some interesting influences such as Lana Del Rey and Bring Me the Horizon. How much of these subgenres, from a music textural standpoint, will we hear on the new album? I don't know if you're going to be like Bring Me the Horizon. I've been fascinated with their ability to blend EDM with rock and metal and metalcore and screamo and bring out kind of the musicality, the melody lines that are underneath things. Can we expect you guys to push the envelope in that regard to the sonic sound of 3 Days Grace on the new record?
Yeah, we Bring Me the Horizon, by the way, is definitely one of our favorite
Me
new
too.
bands.
Yeah.
I think you nailed it. They're doing things that no one else has done in the rock world, and we definitely try to introduce new sounds every record. And I think one of our songs we put some slide on there, some pedal steel.
Okay, cool. Love that.
Which we've never done. So we know a guy up here, and we're like, man, would you lay some stuff down on this track? And it came back, and we were like, holy crap, like that sounds wicked. We've never done that. So
we've got a guy in the band that I play in that occasionally jumps in and jams with us, and he's an old blues player, graduated from University of North Texas up in Denton from the music school there, and he plays pedal steel guitar, and it is one of the most complicated instruments I think I've ever seen in my entire life, and this guy just nails it. It adds so much to the overall sound as far as coloring and really cool stuff.
Well, and that's it, man. So I think you said it, like the color, so we try to do that. We try to find different sounds, and we always kind of gravitate to a little bit of synthy stuff, but we were just in the studio recording. We found a sitar guitar that was sitting there. It was all dusty, and no one's ever probably used it.
Yeah.
We picked it up and like, man, this could be cool. So we put it in one of our tracks, and it's a great tone. It's like a sitar, stuff like that. So I think just finding different textures to make shapes. I think that's important on every record to do something different.
Do you have a name for the new album yet? I know it'll be available wherever you steal music sometime in May, but do you have a name for it, Nick?
Yeah, I think we're going to call it Explosions.
Okay.
We have a song called Explosions on the record. It's one of my favorites, and I think we're going to gravitate towards that. I don't know if that's a secret or not, but
okay, cool. If it is, it's not anymore.
Oops.
Hey, tell me, and you hinted about it earlier, and I'm hearing this from a lot of bands talking recently who have done something different on their new releases coming out, after 2021 and beyond. Some releases that are still in the on the shelf, but writing and recording remotely. Anything else that you guys did that was a first ever on this new album from 3 Days Grace that you've never done before?
Absolutely, yeah. We well, for one, Zoom is something brand new, to us. So that was a bit of a hurdle, trying to figure out how to do that, and not how to do it, but how to get the vibe. So some days are hard, but some days it was kind of cool because we'd have meetings and we'd have beers, and some days we wouldn't do any kind of writing, but it was fun, man. And it's a different animal, and I think definitely some great things came out of that. You learn how to do things remotely, so you learn new technologies, and we used a lot of this one thing called Listen To. I don't know if and where so Neil has a spaceship kind of recording studio at his house. Kind of looks like the backdrop there.
All right, I'm writing that down. Listen To. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so we could listen to anything that he has up in Pro Tools. So it's pretty cool that you can come up with ideas, send them, put them in, and everyone can hear them live. So stuff like that. And it was I never knew anything existed like that. So and recording, we did the first 6 songs we did remotely. So obviously we did a demo, and then everybody went to separate studios and recorded. And I think I was the last one. So I heard, I would hear everything for the first time, and I'd just be like, oh, okay, that's different. I don't remember that part, but let's jam with it. And so that was different. It was weird. We had everybody on Zoom, but it was just not, I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah. You got some East Coast shows, I know, with Godsmack coming up. Tell me about your relationship with Celierna and those bad boys from Boston.
Yeah, we've done a lot of shows with them, and great band. Yeah, we love playing with them. They're good guys. So
You
it's gonna
ever
be fun.
any thoughts about ever, working on some co-writes with Godsmack?
No, but that would be great. I mean,
Yeah.
they're solid dudes, and I think they just moved to Florida or something.
You might be right.
I
Yeah.
think I think I heard that, but
Um,
smart.
I
Yeah.
would imagine that early on in your career, it was easier to feel like an outsider.
Mhm.
Perhaps part of a counterculture thing, but I mean, you really are mainstream today as far as Three Days Grace is concerned. One of the most listened to new rock bands or rock bands on Spotify and a lot of the streaming platforms. What keeps you inspired and angry when you have so much to be thankful for? You talk about, writing the new single "So-Called Life" around the pool.
Yeah.
That probably would not have happened in the early days of Three Days Grace when you're
No,
trucking around the U.S. in a van.
no. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's I think for us, it's one of our most favorite parts of music is the writing and obviously the touring. So we treat it as a therapy almost. Like it's like we all have when we write as a group, no matter who brings the idea or whatever, it's always everyone has to agree, and it's always a filter. So I think everyone's gut instinct is the filter, and that's what makes 3 Days Grace. So I think you got to feel something, and that's for us. You got to feel something to let it get to the next level. So I think, like I said, we get pretty personal on a lot of these songs, and I think that's kind of why we have some fans that can really relate, and some of the best fans out there. So yeah, like we're not angry people, but I think if we weren't musicians, we might be.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
Right.
Interesting.
you know,
And again, going with that train of thought, with all the success that you guys have had as a band and a company and a brand, how do you gauge success today? I mean, could it be a catch-22 of something where you think, look, we're going to be able to do such and such, and this next single is going to go number one and stay there for 16 weeks, but it only goes up there for 4 or 5 weeks, and then you
yeah,
beat yourself up over it. I mean, yeah, how do you gauge that now and at being a global entity?
yeah, no, I know, I hear you. It's that's a tough question because I don't know. I don't think we ever like look back. So for us, we just kind of keep moving forward. And it's funny because our old producer Gavin Brown came here, be a couple years ago now, but he came to my house and he's like, "You did all this by playing four strings," and he's looking around and like, "Man, you're right. Like this is pretty cool," So I don't think we really ever. I haven't really sat down to think about that stuff yet. And I think when we do, it'll blow our minds of what we've accomplished. But for me right now, I want to play as many countries as I can.
I was going to say, you got a big map behind there.
Yeah, well, I'm in my pool room here, my
Oh,
billiards.
nice. Very cool. I love it.
But that's I put that up for my boys to look at the world, and we're gonna pin all the places we've been, and I
What
think
place do you still have that you haven't crossed off the map back there? I'm sure there's more than a few, right?
I'd like to get down into like Indonesia.
Yeah.
China is now having some shows, so that would be cool.
Yeah.
We've done Russia about 5 times. We've done all this. Maybe South Africa. I don't know.
Okay.
But you know what I mean? Like, so I think we've done the US and Canada, but I think opening up new horizons that way, that's a good gauge of like, oh man, wow,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right on. Brad, it's been wonderful speaking with you, man. And I know you have a lot of these that you're doing. Before we wrap things up, I always love to give props to new bands. And I'm curious, is there a new band that you've discovered since lockdown that perhaps the rock community should have on their radar that I can dig into? Because I'm always about discovering new music. And it might be a tough question. I'm sure there's been a lot that you've come across, but is there one that really sticks out?
It is a tough question, man. And I don't, what's funny is this whole pandemic, I haven't really listened to the radio that much.
Okay.
I have listened to the radio, but I listen to a lot of classic rock again.
Yeah.
And I haven't listened to classic rock in years and years and years. And now I'm like, I don't know, I'm back at it. And that's kind of how I grew up.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a lot of great bands out there. I think, I was listening to the radio the other day, and Ice Nine Kills came on. And I saw today that we're touring with them. They have some shows on the same date, so I'm interested to see
Cool.
them. And they've got some cool songs. Like they very interesting. So
is there anybody on the planet that can jump into the camp of Ian Thornley and say, hey, Big Rec, why don't you try taking another swing at touring down in the States with us? Let's throw you out in front of a big audience, you guys headlining and Big Rec open. Can we make that happen, Brad?
They're doing shows up here, and they're still rocking and sound. Ian's still.
Oh man, their stuff is amazing.
I love that band, and he's a genius when it comes to guitar. Man, I've never seen a better guitar player. So,
well, if you're not familiar with him, and if you have a pen and a piece of paper handy, write down Don Bracco. Are you familiar with Don Bracco?
Yeah, I have listened to a little bit. Yeah, that's cool. That's interesting. That's
and that Bring Me the Horizon kind of British rock vein. But
who came first? Did they come first? Or
that's a great question. I've noticed Don sharing the stage at a lot of Bring Me the Horizon shows over across the pond. But I'm not. I would suspect that probably Bring Me the Horizon, because they've been around for so long. You can do some digging on Bring Me the Horizon and find some early stuff from 20 or some odd years ago. I would guess that they probably were there first and Don Bracco followed them, but I don't know for sure.
They're cool for sure. Right now we're mixing with the same mixer that they use.
Cool.
He's amazing. Dan Lancaster. Yeah, he's great.
Very nice, man.
He's mixing us up some nice stuff, so we're excited. Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to hear the whole album. We've been big supporters of 3 Days Grace since day one right here in Reno, and I know you guys have played here many times. And I just hope to God that 2022, shows you back up here in Reno so we can hang out and have a beer or a cup of coffee or a tea and get together and chat, man.
Sounds good, man. Thank you so much.
That'd be great. Take care.
All right. Be safe. Cheers.
All right. Cheers.